thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time and your commitment. I just want to start off by thanking a few folks. First, Mulvaney G2, MG2, where you're at right now. Thank you so much to Russ. Russ here is the president of MG2, and he's been extremely helpful with this event, so please give a round of applause. You probably noticed some cameras here. We got some media folks, so I appreciate the media being here. Thank you so much. And lastly, and obviously most importantly, to my parents, who have been so supportive of this race. It's actually ironic, because when I was a kid, there was 3 things my mom told me never to do, right? The first one was drugs. The second one was gambling. And the third one was politics. So, sorry, Mom. 2 out of 3 is not bad, right? But again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. For those of you who don't know why you're here or who I am, my name is Sam Cho. I'm running for Seattle Port Commission position 2, as it says behind me. And so I just want to start off. The Port Commission is actually a nonpartisan race. So I'm not running as a Democrat or Republican, but it's kind of hard to hide the fact that I'm a Democrat. So as a Democrat, I like to start off on a bipartisan note by quoting the last great Republican president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. And Honest Abe once said that the legitimate object of government is to do for a community what they can't do as individuals. Yeah. Yes. So what does that mean? That means he was saying that the government exists for the people, to serve the people. And the reason I'm running for a Seattle Port Commission is because I want to see a Port of Seattle that's working for the people of Seattle, for the people of Greater Seattle. What do I mean by that? If you've driven down to SeaTac Airport recently and you've been stuck in that traffic, that's not working for the people. If you've stood in that security line that wraps around the terminal, that doesn't work for the people. If you live in South King County near Federal Way or Des Moines or Burien, you're affected by the noise pollution of all those planes going in and out. That doesn't work for the people. You know, I want to take a quick detour and kind of tell you a story. And this is the story of 2 amazing people who immigrated to this country. And you know, sorry. My parents came here as dry cleaners. They clean dress shirts for a living. And as you can imagine, my parents cleaned shirts hoping that one day their son would wear one. Well, today I'm wearing one. And I tell this not because, you know, our story is unique, but because our story is the story of the American dream. The idea that if you come here and you work hard, you can succeed. And I think my parents did a pretty good damn job, don't you think? Oh, yeah. Part of the reason I'm running is because as King County continues to grow, as we continue to expand economically, I want to make sure that the opportunities are there for everyone. That as the tides of prosperity rise in King County, that it lifts all boats, not just the big ones, and not just huge corporations. That means making sure that we have opportunity for not just the children of immigrants, but for everyone. And let me just make something really clear here, is that the American dream is not reserved for immigrants. It's for anyone and everyone who considers this land their home. Which means it's not just for, you know, people who came here legally, but even people who are undocumented. And so one of my commitments as a Port Commissioner is to make sure that the Port of Seattle has no part in separating families or deporting families. Our facilities will not be used for any of that. And that's, I will, over my dead body will they start deporting people from our ports. Part of my platform is also to make sure that we are tackling climate change more aggressively. The Port of Seattle has the largest carbon footprint of any institution in the state. I mean, think about it. Between the airplanes that go in and out and the cruise ships that come in and out of our harbors right here, it's a lot of emissions. So making sure that we have the infrastructure in place to transition to sustainable sources of energy, to electrify the port, to install charging stations, not just for cars, but also boats. Did you know that there are charging stations for boats? Those cruise ships that dock on our shores, they never turn off their engines. Did you know that? Because it's a floating city. And you can't just turn off the engines to a city. So they keep their engines on all day as they sit there. So the solution to that is making sure that we have onshore electrical power where they can plug into the grid and make sure that they can turn off their engines. Thirdly, I think that it's really important as an institution to have accountability and transparency. The Port of Seattle, unfortunately, has had a long history of cost overruns and lack of transparency, making decisions that didn't include people. And so one of the pillars of my campaign is to make sure that the Port of Seattle has that transparency and accountability. And lastly, we need to stop human and labor trafficking at the port. Now, human labor trafficking is not something a lot of people talk about, but did you know that Seattle is the 12th highest port for labor trafficking? Women who are being brought into this country as basically slave labor, indentured servitude. Sometimes women are brought in as masseuses for massage parlors or put to work. And as a port, there should be none of that happening. So one of my biggest commitments is to make sure that we have programs in place that not only create awareness of human trafficking activity, but also making sure that we have programs in place that stop it as it's happening. I actually didn't have any intentions of running anytime soon. I mean, a lot of people have always asked me, well, Sam, when are you going to run? When are you going to run? But I actually had no plans to run. And part of the reason I'm here is not just because there's an open seat. For those of you who don't know, Christine Gregoire, who currently occupies position 2, has decided not to run for re-election. So it's an open seat. But because there are people who run for office simply because they want to be in office. There are people who have no connection to the port, have no experience related to the port, who run for office simply because they think it's an easy office to be in. When I saw the candidates that were running for this office, I said to myself, there's no way these people are qualified. And I'm not saying that I'm the best person. Oh, actually, yes, I am saying I'm the best person. All right. But, I truly believe that I have all the experiences that are required to be an effective port commissioner. As Cheryl mentioned, 2 years ago, there was a huge bird flu outbreak in Asia. Avian influenza killed all these chickens. And, at the time, I had just left the Obama administration, and I was unemployed. So I was actually living off government subsidy. I was literally taking handouts from the government on unemployment insurance when I had this idea. And I feel like at the time, it was a tough time for me and my family because I was so desperate. But at the same time, it takes a tremendous amount of privilege to not just start a business, but also run for office. And I think that is not lost upon me. The idea that I'm standing here right now doing this is a tremendous honor, but there's a lot of privilege in that. So, making sure that we create a pipeline for other people. One of the things that I want to emphasize is that there are a lot of Korean Americans in this room. And one of my goals is to make sure that, obviously that I win, but also to show the next generation and the next group of people who are coming along to show them, oh man, this is an option. Because, again, my mom told me not to do this. So, growing up, it's not something people encourage you to do. It's not something that's, why would you do this? You can live a quiet life, making money at Microsoft or something. And so for me, it's not just about me. It's about paving a path for the next group. Whether I win or lose, one of my commitments is to make sure that we're creating a pipeline so that the next generation of people can move up the chain.
Yeah.
So when I was in Washington, D.C., I was very fortunate to meet a lot of people. One of my good mentors, his name is Norman Mineta. Does anyone know who Norman Mineta is? Yes. Norman Mineta was a Japanese American, born in the 40s, in the middle of World War II. Norman Mineta was taken from his house and put into an internment camp because he was Japanese American. So he was part of that experience of, the entire racial group, just ethnic group, being taken out of their homes. They couldn't bring anything with them, and they put them in these camps. Last month, I was in Washington, D.C. I have to give a shout out to my IDF crew right here. I was in Washington, D.C. last month, and it's Asian American Heritage Month, May, and I had a chance to talk to Norm, or Secretary Mineta. And I told him, look, I'm thinking about running for office. Do you have any advice? And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, Sam, in life, there's only two things that I learned that you truly own. There's only two things in life you truly own. One is your name, and two is your integrity. Norm was taken from his house. All his belongings were left behind, and he was put into a camp. He said, there's only two things in life you truly own, your name and your integrity. If you're going to run for office, protect your name and protect your integrity. He also told me a good politician has a big ear and a small mouth, which I think is also really good advice. And so one of my commitments is that whether when I win, that I will keep that integrity intact. That I hope that all of you can keep me accountable for all the things that I commit to today and will continue to do. One of my campaign slogans, if you look at my literature, it's a port for the people, putting people first. So in order for me to be successful in my mind, I need the people, for me to listen to you all and make sure that you guys are all keeping me accountable. So I won't go too long. Let me just finish with this. In Korean, there's a saying that we use, and it goes like this. I'll say it in Korean and I'll translate it. In Korean, it goes, 빨리 뛰려면 혼자 뛰고, 멀리 뛰려면 같이 뛰어라. And that translates to, if you want to run fast in life, you should run by yourself. But if you want to run far in life, you should run together. So today, my ask is that as we fight for this progressive change, as we continue this marathon, it's a marathon, guys. It's not a sprint. That we run together, and together we'll fight for that change. Thank you so much. Oh, actually, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something in Korean too. I'm gonna do something in Korean too. Okay, so. All right, I forgot. For my non-Korean speaking friends, I'm sorry, but I gotta do something in Korean too to cater to the audience. 여기 한국 분들이 너무 생각보다 많이 왔기 때문에 제가 잠깐 한국말로도 인사하겠습니다. 안녕하세요. 이번에 포트 오브 시애틀 한방청 커미셔너 후보로 나가는 샘 초라고 합니다. 예. 바쁘신 가운데 이렇게 시간 내주시고 여기까지 와주셔서 너무 감사하고요. 저희 엄마 아빠한테도 너무 감사하고요. 제가 진짜 그동안 준비를 너무 많이 하셨어요. 제가 방금 전에 영어로 제가 왜 선거를 나가고 막 이런 설명을 다 했는데 솔직히 개인적인 이유가 하나 더 있어요. 제가 워싱턴 DC에서도 올림피아에서도 일을 하면서 제가 느낀 게 있는데 정치인들이 하는 말이 있어요. 결정의 권리는 식탁에 자리 있는 자에게 있다. 식탁에 자리 있는 자에게 결정의 권리가 있다. 이런 말이 있거든요. 근데 거기 정치인들은 거기다가 또 말을 붙이는 게 식탁에 자리 없는 자는 메뉴판에 있다. 이렇게 말씀해요. 무슨 말씀인지 아시겠죠? 제가 지금까지 워싱턴 DC에서도 일하고 시애틀에서도 일하고 많은 경험이 있는데 매번 제가 느낀 게 우리 한인 커뮤니티는 아직도 자리가 없구나 이런 생각이 들었습니다. 제가 이번에 나가게 된 이유 중에 하나가 우리 한인 커뮤니티도 이제 자리가 생길 때가 되지 않았나. 물론 정치인이 아예 없는 것도 아니지만 유대인한테 한번 물어보세요. 유대인 정치인들이 한번 대보라 그래서요. 대답 못해요. 근데 그게 유대인 정치인이 없어서가 아니라 유대인 정치인이 너무 많기 때문에 대답 못해요. 저는요, 제가 조금 아까 얘기했지만 저희 부모님도 여기로 이민 왔고 이 세대 분들이 많은데 이 세대 분들이 여기 와가지고 힘들게 일하고 저 이 세대를 위해서 일한 만큼 이제 이 세대가 이 세대를 받쳐줄 시대가 왔다고 생각합니다. 근데 그러려면 경제적인 힘도 중요하지만 정치적인 힘이 필요해요. 그 식탁의 자리가 필요합니다. 그러려면 시대가 다르다고 따로따로 이렇게 하는 게 아니라 이 세대가 부족한 부분이 이 세대가 채워주고 이 세대가 부족한 부분이 이 세대가 채워주면서 이렇게 같이 나가야 되겠다고 생각합니다. 그래야지 우리가 힘을 뭉쳐서 우리의 자리를 찾을 수 있다고 생각합니다. 그러려면 여러분이 세 가지를 해줘야 돼요. 1번, 투표를 하셔야 돼요. 우리 한인 커뮤니티는 투표 안 하는 커뮤니티는 알려져 있어요, 지금. 너무 뻔한 것처럼. 코리안 커뮤니티에서 물어보면 투표 안 한다고요. 그러니까 꼭 투표하시고, 만약에 신청을 안 하셨다면 여기 신청한 탭이 있기 때문에 한국어로 신청할 수 있기 때문에 꼭 가시기 전에 신청해 주세요. 그리고 두 번째, 자금이 필요합니다. 이게 현실이에요. 정치는 자금이고 선거 캠프는 자금입니다. 아무리 제가 이렇게 나가고 많은 사람을 만나고 이렇게 스피치를 해도 선거 캠프에 자금이 없으면 제가 제대로 할 수 못해요. 그렇기 때문에 그 부분에서도 많이 도움을 청하고 마지막으로 세 번째는 여러분의 인맥이 필요합니다. 제가 한 사람이기 때문에 다 못 만나요. 제가 아무리 열심히 다녀도 다 못 만나기 때문에 여러분이 알고 계시는 동기들, 친구분들, 직장이든 어디든 꼭 알려주세요. 쌤이라는 애가 있고 나는 이 사람을 서포트하니까 너도 서포트해라 이렇게. 제가 조금 아까 얘기했지만 물론 선거를 이길 거지만 이기던 지던 여기서 제가 끝날 생각은 전혀 없습니다. 앞으로 계속 제가 아니라도 한인 커뮤니티에서 후보가 나올 텐데 그럴 때마다 우리 커뮤니티가 계속 밀어줬으면 좋겠습니다. 제가 봤을 때 정치라는 거는 한 10번을 시도해야지 한 번을 성공해요. 그러니까 뭐 전 후보들 다 적고 뭐 계속 지기 때문에 서포트 안 하겠다 이런 생각 갖지 말고 한국인이 나올 때마다 꼭 서포트를 해주세요. 그게 자금이든 시간이든 벌런티어든 꼭 해주세요. 그러면 반드시 우리 커뮤니티도 그 식탁에 자리가 생길 거라고 생각합니다. 또 다시 여기 너무 와주셔서 너무 감사하고요. 가시기 전에 꼭 투표 신청하시고 꼭 투표 신청하시고 여기 먹을 것도 많으니까 꼭 드시고 가세요. 감사합니다.